Hello everyone, my name is Francisco and this is my self-reflection presentation. For this presentation I'm going to do a picture-in-picture so that way you can see my slides as well as see me at the same time. So let's get to it. My feelings towards public speaking before this class was that public speaking is a very useful tool to have in the professional world. It's something that it's very practical and I think that everybody should learn at least the basics when it comes to public speaking. I do have some public speaking experience before this class, but it's not really enough to brag about. So, I probably won't get into it too much, but, the military did help me out with some presentation forms and stuff like that I've taken some courses and stuff. I feel comfortable with my communication skills, and I'm always working to get better at it. I know sometimes I might be able to stumble a little bit here and there, and it kind of has to do with the language barrier. But I'm getting over it. I mean, as you can see, I don't really have much of an accent, but Spanish was my first language, so it's kind of sometimes I get mixed up because I do think in Spanish. And other than the actual language barrier, it pretty much communications. We're good with communications. My delivery challenges during week 1 was trying to sum up my entire life story in 5 minutes. It's not an easy task to do since I've been through quite a bit in my time. During week 2. Was coming up with a good introduction. I noticed that introduction is a key to giving a great speech, and this is something that was I had to pretty much work on because I'm not really good with introductions, and I haven't really had much experience or practice with it. Week 4 was pretty much right up my alley since I have a lot of experience with PowerPoint and Microsoft. This was pretty much the week that I believe that I've been the strongest in. What I learned about visual presentations. Okay. Well, pretty much what I learned about visual presentations. Well, how to create videos. I'm not used to creating videos because most of my presentation have always been live, PowerPoint presentation and stuff like that. But usually my audience is right in front of me, and I'm not looking at a camera like I am now. Using videos is definitely a good way to get a presentation ready for long distance communication or some sort of interview, stuff like that I didn't have prior experience, so this class has definitely taught me some useful tricks to use for the future. Was I nervous during any presentations? Not really. Looking into a camera to me is definitely not the same as having an audience just sitting there looking at you with all their eyes at you. So I didn't really feel too nervous. It's just I felt a little strange just looking at the camera the entire time. How the audience reacted to my presentation? Well, from the comments that I've received, most of my presentation, from the most part, have been pretty well. I did get some very useful advice that I've tried to implement in all my extra videos that I've done. So thank you for that, guys. There's some good pointers out there. I normally started my response to my classmates pointing out all this good stuff that they did in the presentation. Pretty much just telling them, oh, you had good lighting in your scene, or you presented yourself well, or so on and so forth. Then I tried to think of some things that they can improve on. And I noticed my classmates picked up on that, and they have been able to implement that in most of their videos, so good job, guys. I spent some time practicing my speeches, but I normally do that in front of the camera, mainly because you never know when you're going to get it right. So since there's really not an audience to look at the moment, presenting in front of a camera is actually really good practice, and I think that it's very useful because you can see yourself and you can see how you're presenting yourself and could learn a lot about yourself for the future presentations and stuff like that. I did have quite some errors starting on my new videos, stating my faults and losing a little bit of professionalism. Not much, but just enough to throw my train of thought off at times. But with each video, I try to correct that, and little by little, I'm trying to focus more on being a little more professional in videos and a more professional presentation. I enjoyed the speech project that I got to introduce myself the most, mainly because that's the topic that I'm really most comfortable with. I'm really comfortable with myself and introducing myself and stating pretty much all the good and bad stuff that I've done in my life, and that was definitely my favorite project. The worst was probably the TED project, only because I didn't get to do a presentation on Sir Ken Robinson, excuse me. He's an amazing presenter, and I learned a lot from just watching those 2 videos. And that's the only reason I really didn't like that one too much, because I couldn't really do my presentation on him, and that's the one I enjoyed the most from all the ones that I saw. I learned from TED pretty much to have a really strong introduction. That will definitely capture the audience and keep them entertained as you're speaking and you're giving examples. It's pretty much just relate to the audience and try to capture the audience early on, so that way you can keep going on and progressing with them, and they'll actually listen to what you're saying instead of get bored and start nodding off and stuff like that. What I learned from Sir Ken Robinson is to keep the audience engaged, like I just said in my last question there. From Nancy Dewart is to use a lot of examples with elaborate explaining. Just go into detail, full detail, and do your research. From Gar Reynolds, I learned that basically you have to have a sound and clear structure. Just make sure your stuff makes sense before you actually present it to people, because that could throw your entire presentation off. My biggest delivery challenge has been coming up with a good intro. Something I'm just not really familiar with, and I haven't really had much experience, but it's definitely something I could improve on, and to have a good conclusion as well. I believe my biggest strength in terms of presentation is confidence. I have a lot of confidence in myself and my ability to present myself and to speak in front of people. So I think that's definitely my biggest strength. If I were to rate myself in a scale of 1 through 5 for public speaking, this month I will definitely have to give myself a 4. I had a few things I would like to work on in the future, and I believe I could get a little better at it. Definitely could get a little better at it. So I'll give myself a 4 because I believe myself. I presented myself well. Just need some work and some fine-tuning in certain places. My feelings about presentation or public speaking hasn't really changed much this month. I've always thought it was very important, and I still do. However, I did learn a lot of new tricks and a lot of new methods to be helpful to me later on in life, and I'll definitely try to remember some of those and use this class as a reflection to whenever I need it. Thank you very much, guys. I wish you the best on the rest of your program, and good luck. See you guys around.